Hello, everybody. Welcome to NSE UK Splatoon University League. I'm Sasu here with Matthew Mega, and we're going to be getting into Anarchist versus Splatter. But before we do that, how are you doing today on this here Monday, Matthew Mega?
You know, sometimes it's very rare to be commentating on a Monday afternoon, to say the least. Typically, you'd be in school right now, but it's summer. So, Splatoon every hour of the day. How about that?
I mean, we love to see it, and I especially love that I'm back casting for NSE because to anybody just dropping in who doesn't know the format for NSE, first, both of these teams are actually going to start off in a best of 3 turf war match. Starting off with Robo Ramen, and then it's going to be counter picks after that. And the winner of this best of 3 turf game gets 1 point to their score, and then the rest of everything else is going to end up being a best of 5. So kind of like a mini set within the overall set before we take a look at these rosters.
Yeah, and I mean, looking at both of these teams, something that you don't see very commonly in Splatoon tournaments, we have 6 to 7 people rosters. Don't say it. I didn't say it. Don't say it. But even so, I will admit, I only know one person on both of these rosters out of the amount of players on both of these rosters. I only recognize one, that being Snipes. So I'm very excited to see so many new players, at least in my eyes, take a stance. Especially, and now we're in Top Cut, and this is Division 1, so we're getting towards the end.
Yes, no joke in Div 1, and we're gonna get right into it. Starting off the top, we're looking at what people are running for turf, and Matt, usually we see some funky choices for turf, some weapons that you don't see in other places. Of course, I have to shout out Rhythm on the V-Brella, but other than that, things looking pretty standard here.
We see Stringer coming out a lot more, especially in Turf War. One of those AoE weapons that works really well, and immediately we do see the Gal going down there. We have some trades going back and forth between these two teams, but immediately we see UK Splatter have a bit more control over the map than Anarchist does. Both teams looking to just take over mid, but I mean, compared to the ranked modes, this is going to be a lot different.
Yeah, actually, it's interesting you bring up that both of these teams are putting a lot of presence in mid, because it looks to me Anarchists really are focused on kind of cleaning up their side of the map initially, compared to Splatter. Splatter is right, because it's just kind of haphazard. You see Robo Ramen is a very vertical place as well, so you have those under sections you have to worry about, but I think Splatter has way more than just the under sections to worry about right now, because 3 of their members have gone down, and that last person going down makes for a delayed wipe.
And with that, looks like Splatter stuck on this defense right now. They're in danger. But remember, I mean, when it comes down to Turf War, it's really that final minute is what counts here. And we see the members of Anarchist just taking these really nice positions, making sure there aren't any openings for the members of Splatter to file in here. But we do see the trade coming in there between the Dualies and the Stringer Rhythm, able to clean it up perfectly as the members of Splatter are just trying to break through the defense. And with these trades, it's not going to be enough. They just can't trade. They need to get these picks. And Anarchist is doing a really good job at keeping the members of Splatter out.
This has got to especially be tough, seeing as though it's Turf War. And I have to shout out how we just saw the Brella cancel the entirety of that splashdown, not just the main jump there. But with Splatter, it seems as though they're finally able to kind of get into mid, break out with the help of that Kraken. And it kind of took them a while, because when it comes to Turf War, you don't have an objective for people to go back to. You see, if the Rainmaker explodes, you have to retreat back to mid and repop it. You have to get on the tower, but all these teams have to do is paint. So now that we're entering the final 30 seconds of the game, it is really going to come down to this, and both of these teams have to worry about paint and staying alive, Matt.
And here we're still in danger for Splatter. It's getting a little bit risky. The members of Anarchist keeping them on the lockup, but the Kraken could do something here. They could take out members and force an entry for Coosplatter. That's exactly what they're going to be doing. There goes that splashdown. Unable to get the Gal, and they're trying to paint, but in these last 10 seconds, Coosplatter has no control over the mid.
Yes, but what they do have is a Reef Slider in the base. I was thinking that it might make a difference having them get behind the enemy lines, but as we can see here, probably not so much. Anarchist with a really strong hold over the entire game, I'd argue.
And I mean, we just had a Splatfest, so a lot of these teams have played a lot of Turf War recently. And yeah, as you said, I mean, getting behind the enemy can be one of the most devastating things that you can do, especially just to tear up the enemy's defense. I mean, you can do it in ranked as well, but when it comes down to Turf War, if you're behind the enemy, it just works so well because not only you can paint their base, you can pincer the opponent from both sides. So your teammates coming from your base and then you're coming from behind them, you can pincer and they might not even know you're there. So a lot of times those flanks really work, especially in Turf War, because even if you get taken out immediately, that turf is still going to leave an impact on the rest of the game.
Yes, absolutely. But as you can see, it didn't work out for Coosplatter, giving Anarchist the advantage in this best-of-3 set. They win the next game. They take the entire point, which is especially going to be important, seeing as though best-of-5, you want that first point, so you get the final counter pick if you head into a Game 5. But you can take a look at the maps on screen that can be counterpicked to Mahi Mahi Resort, Wahoo World, Shipshape, and Marlin Airport. I say and Marlin Airport. I missed Humpback Pump Track. What would you pick, Matt, if you're in this position?
Ooh. I mean, with a team, when I'm already stressing if I'm fighting a stringer. As a Dapple Dualies, I'm stressing. I'm stressing if I'm fighting a stringer. So if I can find a map. There's a map that I can move behind, a map with flank routes I can take. I feel like I want to throw Mahi into it. Not Mahi. I want to throw Museum into it. I would pick Museum because a lot of times if the stringer is distracted taking out opponents in your base and everything, they might not look at that right flank. You can easily just go behind them and wreak havoc in the base because again, unlike on ranked modes where if you're gonna flank, you have to get picks. If you flank and you get taken out on ranked modes, it's over because that's just gonna favor the enemy a lot more. But when it comes down to Turf War, if you're flanking, you can cover so much turf. Even if you do die without taking anybody out, the impact is going to last here. But we're going to be going to Humpback.
No doubt, because unfortunately Museum was not a legal option for Turf War, so they could not have picked it nonetheless. But I'm sure they're picking Humpback because they don't have the choice to pick Museum. They're like, no Museum! Guess we'll go Humpback. But Humpback, I think, is a good choice for some of the reasons you mentioned. You were talking about flanks and getting behind people and things like that. And I think because Humpback Pump Track very famously is a very round place, if you have the bow sitting on flank or in one of those windows, then getting behind them is not too difficult of a task if you have a fast enough weapon.
I mean, if I'm Coosplatter right now, I'm really thinking at the end, the Dapples really did have an impact. It was a loss, but they definitely did have an impact on that final score. So if I'm Coosplatter, I'm thinking, okay, as a Dapples, I need to get behind them, but when I do that, it has to be a lot earlier into the match. That way I have a little bit more time to paint the base and then maybe even take out an opponent or two. Because when it comes down to Turf War, if you can take out stringers, NZaps, any weapon that paint, your team is going to have an easier time taking the lead that way. So if I'm Coosplatter, I'm thinking I just need to get behind Anarchist right now.
That's exactly what I was thinking as well. And this is the perfect place to do it. I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if you have all of the members of Anarchist once again just fighting everyone and trying to keep them in their own base, and meanwhile, you know, time is called, you open up the map and their entire side is painted because a member of Coosplatter has been able to just slip through their fingers and paint essentially their entire base. So a lot of the fights probably going to come down to those sides and trying to check the people that are being sneaky. So going into this, we have the implementation of
Oh.
double cooler coming out of Q-Splatter by way of the Claws 96 and a heavy edit Splatling.
We actually see them drop the Dapple dualies and go for double dualies this time, having the Crab Tank on top of the triple splashdown. But immediately, as you pointed out in the beginning of the set, Anarchist has been painting their base while Q-Splatter focuses on mid. And right now, there is a huge difference between the score because Q-Splatter has not painted their base so far, but the Stringer was able to take the time to do so, and already Q-Splatter is in danger, and the members of Anarchist are now looking to collapse on them. We see the Splashdown get the trade, but the Claws 96 is gonna be going down to Rhythm, and already Anarchist has so much control.
You know, good call out there about their difference in strategy showing up once again, because I would argue Anarchist is actually going about it in a more typical way. People tend to like in Turf War, in competitive Turf War, on the rare occasions it is played, to firstly paint their base and then handle everything later. You know how everyone always says it's only really the last minute, maybe even 30 seconds that matter of Turf War, so you might as well give up the ground now, painting your own base, and not make it a problem later when you really need to be getting the splats and the paint down to secure your win.
I mean, when you're an Anarchist with that Stringer, I mean, you're not letting anybody from Q-Splatter in, and they might have learned that from the previous game. They saw how that Dapples might have been an issue, and they're working more to cover those sides to make sure those flanks aren't going to be possible. We see the Crab Tank being used against that Stringer. The Stringer's trying to take it out there by the side, but it's not going to work. Q-Splatter's still in danger. They've been in danger this entire game, and this Dualies is trying to make work with what they have, keeping their lives and jumping out here. But as we enter in the final minute, Anarchist still has complete control over the game.
Yes, and that's even more damaging, seeing as though they took care of business right off the top. Tamey-Wamey on this side getting a pick along with their whale, as I believe this actually may be Snipes here. Mesmerizer on the bow. Splatting someone at point blank range. You don't often see that with a backline weapon. We're entering the last 30 seconds and you're barely seeing any sort of blue on the stage. You would think, oh, they're running double cooler. That makes it easier for them to get back in the game, but it seems as though they've just been struggling to really break out here. And with two of their members down in the last 15 seconds, it's not looking good.
There is a flank. I saw the dualies. There's on the left, there's that dualies. They're trying to make an impact, but no! Sibes is able to locate them and take him out just in time. And in these final seconds, Anarchist has complete control over the map.
Yes, Lil Judd and Judd, I'm afraid we're not necessarily going to need the ruling here. As you can see, this is just complete domination there from Anarchist, ending the Turf War section in a 2-1 and giving them the first point in the set in a pretty dominant fashion.
I mean, 73% is a lot, especially in a competitive Turf War setting. I mean, 73% is huge. And I mean, we saw at the beginning, we saw a much more even game between Anarchist and Q-Splatter. I will say, I thought Robo was a little bit closer. Anarchist, though, they still had it in them. I mean, you called it out perfectly. They focused on their base, and then they focused on mid, and that control helped them with this huge, ginormous lead that they had for the rest of the set.
Yeah, and I think we also previewed the fact that a lot of the games would be played on the sides, that the teams would be checking for flanks, knowing that someone can slip past you and paint your entire base. Snipes was really stationed on that left side, checking anyone who thought that they could be cute and kind of get behind them. And I think it really worked to their favor. Like you see here, they're painting everything up. So I think Q-Splatter maybe was hoping to get the early lead there by boxing them into place, but ultimately losing their kind of fights, as you can see here, it made the fact that they were double coolered kind of null and void.
And I mean, when you're using that double cooler format, just like the teams that I played on when we ran double cooler, whenever you're running that, you have to be ready to jump in. You have to be ready to play incredibly fast. And Koosplatter just unfortunately wasn't able to do so, especially with how great the defense was on the side of Anarchist. It made it extremely hard to break out. I mean, if I was Koosplatter, I'm looking towards that stringer. I'm making sure that stringer is taken out before I even make a move to get into Anarchist space. But I mean, I want to just say the stringer was able to hold down so much control, and the rest of the members of Anarchist were just able to get the picks that they needed, helped with the pain, and just show off incredibly. I mean, 73% is still a lot.
Yeah, and honestly, I would argue it wasn't even necessarily just their level of speed, because if anything, I kind of saw them start to stagger a bit there. A lot of people just really going down. If anything, I think that when you're running double cooler, you have to be really confident in your ability to get picks, because one extra cooler is one special that's not aggressive, right? That's one crab you don't have strikes, something to that extent, something that can get picks on people. So you have to really manually get those picks on people so that if you even trade out, you are the one that comes out on top in that engagement, sending the person to spawn with a higher penalty. So as you guys saw, we are going to be heading into Rainmaker. Now, taking the maps into consideration, as you can see on screen, that's Scorch Gorge, Undertow Spillway, Museum, Del Alfonsino. I'm sure you're excited, Matt. Manta Maria, Humpback Pump Track, and Crab Lake Capital. So, given the fact that they just had so much difficulty getting the picks that they need necessary, I'm curious if it's kind of a, sometimes we'll see, Matt, that teams are just not super accustomed to turf war, and this is of course Div 1 top cut, so these are really strong teams. Things might even out here moving into Rainmaker.
Dare I say, Scorch Gorge is what's going to be chosen. I'm putting my prediction in now. I'm calling it right now.
Okay.
Stringer, I feel Stringer works incredibly well on Rainmaker, even because typically you would want the Stringer to hold the Rainmaker, just that the other three weapons can kind of go ahead of them and go in. But when it comes down to this, I feel like Stringer, it's Crab Leg, which honestly is another great choice, especially for Stringer. So,
Well,
oh wait, no, this
Koosplatter do not have a stringer. I think that's Anarchist, right? So
this is kind of
yeah. They were like, we don't want that stringer smoke. We have to make sure the stringer gets nothing, actually. That they starve. No food for them.
I just woke up. I I should have just realized that the Shifty Station logo was for the counterpick. Okay, Koosplatter has chosen Crab Leg, and I think this could work if they wanted to keep the vanilla Splat Dualies. I think Crab Leg is one of its strongest maps, purely because you can control the grates with crabs so easily. Now, as a Dapple Dualies main, I hate Crab Leg. But the second I see Crab Leg, I always default to using V-Dualies. And the reason why I do that is because, again, not only do you have control over grates with Crab, you can also maneuver them so much more easily than majority of the weapons in the game.
Yes, well, actually, I was going to say, just as expected, we see a Charger, but the Charger is actually coming out of Anarchist. Koosplatter have interestingly decided to go with Rainmaker Crab Leg, despite not having a vac nor a Charger. So I think that Anarchist having both really puts them at a good position, at least as it pertains to their comp.
Immediately, we see Anarchist get a couple off the board. Immediately, I mean, we are 30 seconds into the game, and Anarchists have crossed that checkpoint. The Dapples are down. Anarchists are looking to make a move. They have control over right here, but we see Koosplatter keeping control. They don't want them to take that Rainmaker. They don't want them to take that left path here. And we see Snipes trying to just check on the Wiper here. Not going to work there. But the Zap feeds into Anarchist. That's going to be really risky. Multiple picks on the board here. Nebula is able to get a pick and find another before MP is able to finish it off. A minute into the game, Anarchists are looking to make their move. They're looking to jump onto that plat, and they're waiting for it in rhythm. Able to grab the Rainmaker, jump in there with that splash jump. It's going to end their push, but still, a 27 to start the game is going to be incredibly strong for Anarchists.
Yeah, I think, unfortunately, that was just kind of inevitable what happened there. That long run to 27, Coosplatter could have let, you had several members of Anarchist trying to dive the Rainmaker and hoping to bring it to top right, but Coosplatter was doing a really good job keeping them in check, but one of the members picked it up perhaps by accident, and while I was talking, more rampaging has been happening, specifically from Tammy Wamey, who has been absolutely on a tear, and Anarchists just aren't taking their foot off of Coossplatter's neck.
Even with 2 down on Anarchist, he's still looking to make an impact, and that was huge. They almost got more points onto the board because of them. But it looks like Coosplatter is able to respond there, able to get a pick onto the board. Anarchist looking for the opening they need here. Nebula picking up the Rainmaker just to stall it out a little bit more as Coosplatter is 2 down. And we see Snipes in a really good position with this sniper.
Yes, it's starting to feel a little bit inevitable that they get this last check, especially with the VAC finally out. They are escorting them, Mr. President, to the final check. And with that dunk, nice and neat, Anarchist with a clear run, not allowing any points on the board there for Coosplatter, taking the second game in the set.
You know, the second I saw the charger, the second I saw that VAC, I knew something was gonna happen, and it was just inevitable that it would happen. Using that VAC to shield the Rainmaker, Anarchists are gonna be taking game 2, and the score is 2-0 in Coosplatter with another counter pick. They have one more chance to bring it back.
Their backs are against the wall now. They've gotten all the opportunity. Listen, with Turf War being sort of that first set before you get into the rest of the competitive set, you have more options than usual to see the other team's gameplay and figure out what it is you need to adjust. Usually at this point, you have played only 2 games, which can sometimes not be all that much intel. But they have played, 3 total? Yeah. So, but even though that should be a boon, seeing as though these games have been so dominant, I still don't know how helpful that may be. Anarchists have just been, unstoppable, it feels like.
I mean, looking at, if I'm Coosplatter right now, I'm just looking for some type of opening. I mean, we're running a super aggressive comp. We have a Zap, we have a Wiper, and we have double dualies. That is just a recipe for moving fast here. And they just haven't been able to get the chance to do so. And we do see Scorch. We see Scorch. But it's not Rainmaker, it's Clam Blitz. Never mind. Never mind, it's gone. It's gone.
Well, we can take a look at what the possibilities are. I mean, maybe they decide ultimately to go Scorch Gorge. Maybe they stew on it. It was like, oh, it was a mistake. And then it ends up, no, it's Inkblot. Inkblot Clam Blitz is the choice that is made, and a wild one, to say the least. At least to me, because I have no love in my heart for Inkblot Clams. You know that personally.
I do.
We played.
I do.
Do not like this map mode. You see how cheeks I am on it. I can't stand it. I have a 0% win record on it. If I could just not let it be legal in anything, I wouldn't. But it was willingly picked by Coosplatter, so clearly they see something in it.
Plus, you have some history on that. History that happened at a LAN a couple months ago, where I took a 1v3, and ever since that, since
I
that.
don't even know why Swish was like on something crazy. He was on like he like wasn't on 10, and I'm like, what are we doing?
As a
Bro?
double dualies user, I was fighting either I think it was Recycle Brella or no Sorella Brella, and then Tent. So I have a little bit of beef with Sasu's teammates over that, because I just couldn't fight them head on. I couldn't fight them head on. But Sasu definitely has resentment for Ink Block Clams because of what happened at the end of the game.
Not even. I hate that I had to play it. Period. I hate Inkblot clams. And it's like, of course, it just was on the map list, just like it is here. I mean, here it was counterpicked. I would never, if my teammates said, let's counterpick to Inkblot, I wouldn't let them. I'd say we're not doing that. But
Trauma.
Yeah, because even on my actual team, that I'm co-captain for, we are just no good at this map mode. I've just never been good at it, but it's not about me. It's about these teams. And now that the gauntlet has been laid down, now that Anarchist are a point away from taking the set, they have the bow in tow, the double dualies return, but instead, we do have a Squeezer and a Zuka to boot from Coosplatter.
I mean, I would love to see that Zuka get a pick off of that string. It would be such revenge for everything that's happened this set. But immediately we do see them getting taken out there, with the 3 members of Anarchist surrounding them, and immediately we see 2 down on the side of Coosplatter. Anarchists are already moving to make an impact. The dualies go down. We're 30 seconds into the game, and we already have score on the board, and we already have 2 super clams.
That's insane. Usually we talk about clam economy, you want to make it to 60, but I think that Anarchists are genuinely trying to see if they can go at this in a single push. You don't see that all that often, but given their strength, it might be possible. Some staggering coming out here from Coosplatter. Tries strikes to clear the space even more. Snipes goes down, but not without getting some of those points in, and Nebula goes back to get a few clams. They jump in, go down immediately, and a wipeout finally puts an end to the bleeding here, and that humongous push that happened in the first minute, Matt, is gonna end down at 15.
That's gonna be huge, and that is something that Coosplatter is gonna have a really hard time to get through, but they have to if they want to keep this set alive. It's already 2-0. Anarchists, all they have to really do is keep out the members of Coosplatter. They don't even have to push again, but knowing them, I really see another push for them in the making here. Immediately we see 2 down on the side of Coosplatter. Anarchists moving again. They're 3 down there. They're looking to get their clams up. Splatoon commentators try not to say clam economy. It's an impossible task as they're combining their clams for another super clam.
Listen, you gotta talk about the economy, especially these days. But speaking of which, Coosplatter has essentially had no clam economy this entire time. Really important to get those 2 members down, but ultimately MP not able to close out that pick. And once again, their basket is open. That leaves them extremely vulnerable, seeing as though the mechanics coming out of Anarchist are just so strong, and a wipeout on them is going to leave everything completely open, but they are out of clams, empty pockets. They do have to go back for more, and they do so gracefully.
Wow, I mean, even getting through a penalty of 42 is something that a lot of teams cannot get through. I mean, that's such a huge score, and then getting another 15 on top of that is something that's just hard to do in Anarchist. Doing such a great job of keeping it alive, sealing the set 3-0 against Coosplatter.
Absolutely. Just this whole set has really been a masterclass in strength for Anarchist. I believe that, they've had strong showings in the past. They are a strong team. When we started off the set, you said, Matt, hey, I know one of these players, and it's a player off Anarchist, right? So I think that, there's almost not much to say. This is a dominant game, and keeping a basket open for this long is not easy. You have to not just get your picks, but have the proper timing. So when you go back, even Nebula, you see jumping in here, ultimately went down, but not without getting a clam in first before the wipeout. So a push down to 15 is just rare work.
I mean, yeah, the one player I recognize on these rosters, Snipes. One of, in my opinion, one of the best that the European scene has. I mean, we saw them competing at the Global Gauntlet, some of the biggest tournaments in the world between the European teams, the American teams, the Japanese teams. Definitely a very notable player on this roster, and I definitely see this 3-0. But I mean, you got to give it Kusplatter. I mean, they still were able to fight a lot throughout that entire set, and especially, I mean, that first Turf War game gave me some hope for them.
Yeah, you're right. I think at the end there, I was thinking, uh-oh, if they really just if they make a run for it, they might be able to do something nasty. They were pushed back for a little bit, but they were able to break into mid. It was looking close, but unfortunately it wasn't so close, I think, after that point. But we are going to go on a little bit of break, kind of a hot set, seeing all of that go down. We'll
Gotta
take
cool
a
off.
break, collect ourselves, and we'll be right back.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the NSE Summer League here on Dapple Productions Top Cut Week 1. My name is Matt, and I'm here with Sasu, and it is time for our second set of the day. We have S Cardinals up against LUA All-Stars.
Yes, gonna be very exciting getting into this. We'll see if it's a little bit closer than our last set that we saw, but just like before, we are starting with Turf War between Solent Cardinals. I've seen them around. I've seen their strong work, so gonna be looking forward to that. And Lua All Stars here on Mahi Mahi Resort. And you know, we always talk about this gimmick of like, oh, halfway through the water level, but I feel like that is, I mean, obviously it's important in zones, but in something so time-based like Turf War, that's really, you know, when things open up. Because as soon as people have that flank, they have those other options, the whole game might go on its head.
Well, I mean, going in here, the water is the main problem here. I hate seeing the water.
Player.
Yeah, pretty much. And hey, look, there's a double dualies. Look at that. Look at that. The I believe that is, yes, that is S Cardinals running Wither, running those Dapple dualies. Always great to see. Always great to see other Dapple dualies positions. But we actually do see a Julie Squelcher on the side of LUA.
There are a lot of interesting choices being made here between a ZF charger. I love to see ZF. I'm a little bit surprised to see it in Turf War. A lot of people might run a pen or no charger at all just for the paint. And speaking of backlines that are unconventional, we have a bubble, what are they called? Hydra. Hydra Splatling.
I don't know the actual name either.
Right? And I'm like, it's even odder that we're going, I guess, with the bubble one rather than the one that has Booyah Bomb, seeing as though I find that people like to run specials that get a little bit more paint on the ground. But seeing as though they are currently stationed in mid and really mowing down anybody on their own plat who tries to take that right route, it's working out for them.
I mean, a lot different map, a completely different set than we just saw here. Both teams a little bit more even. As we see the Hydra get taken out, it's going to be huge here. LUA focusing on getting rid of the Hydra so that they can rush in there. But the Dapple dualies getting the pick off of the Charger. Cosme on that 52, able to get the pick off of Wither, and it looks like LUA is able to take a little bit more control. The water has dropped, and this is their chance to get a lot more turf on control. Cosme in their base. Wither takes them out, though, before any more damage is dealt. And S Cardinals now has to get out of mid. I mean, get out of their base.
Yeah, I would say the most important thing is, even though they went down that gal, what was important is several members just forced had forsaken mid to go back and deal with them, and that allowed LUA to move forward and take more footing in mid. So I think we have a dually off here with Wither just abandoning it, saying never mind.
Don't abandon it. No, fight that.
Come back.
You want to see it. Oh, wait, no, but Wither is being kept out. We know those sculptures have so much range. Wither trying to find an opening but jumping out. Playing the safe way is always great to do here, especially we are heading into our final 30 seconds. 2 down on the side of LUA, 1 down on the side of Cardinals. They're looking to make a movement. Cardinals looks like has a little bit more of their footing in mid. They need to just keep painting. They need to be covering. Cosme trying to find an opening with the reap, but it's not going to be doing much. Or LUA, they have one more chance, or they're going into mid.
Yes, but they get stopped immediately, so now is really the time for them to get what they need, and Halo goes down, 2 of their members down. I think that's just about the nail in the coffin here. So Soylent Cardinals just really putting the bow on their win, moving forward to the enemy plat. That is game 1 in turf in the books.
With a little bit more, with a little bit more than half at 56%, Cardinals taking game 1 over LUA, and that is going to set the pace for this quick best of 3 turf set. But I mean, we really got to point out the fact Hydra and Dynamo is such a powerful combo, especially in turf war. When you're locked out by these 2 weapons, it's extremely hard to move in.
Yeah, I think what they lose in speed, they make up for in power and paint output. You know, you don't want to get near one of those without really having a way to take them out first, because once they have their sights on you, you just see that wave of ink, you see the splatling go off, and you're like, it's GG, man. Like, I get tapped by that thing, I'm done for. So I think being able to hold that space, and really, it actually did kind of feel like it came down to the last seconds of this turf war match. Looking at it, I think if the members of LUA All-Stars were able to stay up, maybe even get picks of their own, you saw how close the score is. They might have been able to move into mid, outpaint the Soylent Cardinals, and take the game. But now Cardinals at advantage. LUA All-Stars, they are the ones with the counter pick, and they will determine with their pick and their strength whether yeah, here are your choices, Matt. Where are we going?
Okay, all right. All right, so we have Mahi, we have Wahoo, Humpback, Ship, Robo, and Marlin against a super strong team. Okay, we're going Marlin. I don't even have to answer that question. I don't even think I should have been like able to answer that question, because both Hydra and Dynamo give me such a hard time. So I wouldn't even know what to choose. But OUA, going with Marlin, a map that you don't see very often in competitive.
No, and this is a curious, well, I was going to say a curious choice perhaps against a Hydra, because I think if the same thing just happened to me on camera, I was like, whoa! If I'm thinking that the Hydra being on their greats, being up there, are going to be really hard to displace. They can just kind of shoot anybody that's in mid, but at the same time, I think that Marlin Airport can be a little tough on backlines with the whole propeller sort of moment there. Sometimes you're up there and then you start to fall and XYZ. I think the positioning is really difficult, at least for me personally, whenever I'm on like Hydra. But at the same time, I am a little bit worried for them in that I think that a Dynamo, it's very ledgy. It's a big bowl of death in Marlin Airport. Everything is in mid, and then the rest is just ledge. So if the Dynamo positions itself around those ledges, or even the slosher, it may be really difficult for LUA All-Stars.
Looks like they're sticking with the same comp. I mean, if I was them, I would do the exact same thing. I mean, this comp works for them before, especially in turf war. When you're fighting a double backline like this, it's extremely hard to move. So going in here, it's going to be up to LUA to find a way into this map here, but they are able to get the pick off of Wither. They're looking to make a move, but Cosme going to be going down with that 52. The strikes coming out there, covering a little bit more. We see the Dapple Dually stick out the Dually Squelchers, and Wither is heading into the base.
Exciting stuff. When we saw them last game back off of it, I was like, as much as I want to see the dually v dually action, maybe not so wise for them. They don't have the range advantage, maybe a little bit difficult, so we love to see the upset. And speaking of upset, Witcher goes down, but so does Halo to the Dynamo there. So I think that Solent Cardinals doing a really good job of keeping their presence in mid, but LUA All-Stars are not out of it yet.
LUA, they have two specials ready. They're waiting for their gal to go back online. Their Spooks are able to get the pick off of Duality, and we're back into danger. Cardinals looking strong. They have control over mid. They have control, starting to get control over the enemy base here. And LUA is really just looking for a way to get into this map here. And we see Spooks are able to catch Cosme. And really, I mean, LUA is just trying to find a way in, but the Reslide are going to be coming in there, taking out the Octo Shot. With the trade, though, LUA is looking to push through that right side.
Yes, but I think they realize maybe there's nothing quite there for them. They get out of that and then instead let the Chumps take a little bit of their space with some follow-up from the Ink Strikes, one of which was unfortunately poorly placed there. The Ink Strikes come out in tow. I think anytime you see, this is what's difficult about this Hydra and not quite being able to contest it, because ultimately anyone who tries to take a sneaky little flank break into that mid is going to be met with a lot of pressure there from Yoshi, who's once again trying to get Cosme down there.
Going down here, we're going in. We have the final 30 seconds are on the line. LUA has found a way into mid here, but it's going to be risky. Cosme going down there. That Hydra is in such a good position. And with 3 down on the side of the LUA All-Stars, it's looking strong for Cardinals.
That's absolutely dire in the last 30 seconds. You can't let that happen. I was just thinking LUA All-Stars are in a really good position with how they were doing, but this is a critical 1v1. The Reef Slider not going to find a pick, but going to keep Wither alive. So they do get this pick on Halo. Cosme fighting to get into mid. They ultimately trade out, and that allows Solent Cardinals at the end here to just barely eke out the win, but that was quite, perhaps I should wait for Judd, but I think we have eyes. We see the orange, and we know that they've come out on top in this game and the mini set here.
I do want to point out that there was another time that Wither actually took out Halo, which means took out the dual 3 times. I'm very proud of you, Wither. I'm biased because of Dapple Dualies. I will say I'm biased, but a lot of great aggression.
Matthew Mega, does that mean that Dapple Dualies are legally better than Dually Squelchers? You're like, look at the material! And we will on this instant replay.
I mean, what a set from Cardinals. I mean, they were able to take so much control, especially with the Hydra and Dynamo combo. It's so hard to break into the map.
Yeah, this is the section we saw where they're kind of I think that ultimately Wither was just saving it for later. They know when they can win and when they can in a game. So at that time they said, I'm jumping out. I know I'm gonna go down if I take this fight. But you see later on, they did come out on top more than once. So I think these were really good games. It did feel like it came to the splats in the last few seconds. We saw a lot of LUA All-Stars go down, but they were also able to get 2 members down of Solent Cardinals at about like 15 seconds. I was thinking that might be it, but I think the people remaining were still able to get splats and keep their positioning in mid. So we'll see how that really translates into splat zones, seeing as though that is going to be our first competitive mode of the set.
We actually didn't see splat zones in the previous set. So for all of my competitive players who love splat zones to death, you finally get your chance to shine here. Splat zones are going to be following up our Turf War mini set. And is there a chance we see this Hydra and Dynamo combo again? Small chance, I'd say.
Well, it's been working for them. I feel like it's kind of funky. I'm looking here. Hagglefish, Maki, doesn't...
That's not splat zones.
It will... Am I wrong? Is it the
That's
same as last time?
set.
Perhaps I was wrong.
If the voice... Hold on, I have to talk to the voice in my head. Hold on, I'm thinking.
No, I'm
thinking.
Oh, I am in voice text.
Okay, so
Round
we are
2.
doing Rainmaker. I
Question
believe
mark.
so.
Round 2. Splat zones, Rainmaker, Clam Blitz, Tower Control. Is this...
Oh, okay, so I figured it out. The voice in my head figured it out. It's the same round. It's the same round from the last set. That's why.
Right in my skull.
Doing Rainmaker. We will only be doing splat zones if we make it to a game 5, and that's if LUA All Stars wins the next couple.
Woo!
Games. But we're gonna be going to Rainmaker on Undertow.
Listen, it's the summer, you know. A lot of that heat is affecting us, but I'm excited. I, for one, am excited for Rainmaker Undertow. I love every time I get to see it. I think last time, what was I? Oh, it was for an event. I said the same thing. I'm like, I love to see it. And you know what, Matt? There was a back cap. And I feel like that happens so often in a place like Undertow. But I think we've seen a lot of changes coming out of Turf War. Maybe kind of specialty picks there, because online we have Star Yoshi with the well string for that insta pop, Ghostly switching over to a custom range blaster, and we now have a heavy edit splatling in tow as well.
But a bit of an opposite here. 3 down on the side of Cardinals, where they're able to stall out the Rainmaker a little bit. But it looks like OUA has a much better opening, already moving for that checkpoint.
And almost getting the dunk, but Spookster just tapping them there with that that slosher, denying them that check. And I think that's actually going to be huge for them, because once the other team has the check, they have free reign to do whatever they want to get even more points. So they stop that pretty quickly. Temkyun here getting a splat while they move into mid and just try to put some paint down to deny the other team spacing, as well as help their team get that check that they denied LUA All-Stars.
But we do see they're trying to pop that Rainmaker, but it's just the Dynamo. Weather got taken out on that flank here. LUA All-Stars able to clear it up there, only letting them get that checkpoint. But still, it's a little bit risky for LUA, because they weren't able to get the checkpoint off of Cardinals. But okay, we did reset the Rainmaker. I thought we jumped. I thought something else happened there. But immediately pushing, Cardinals has the pop again. I mean, that Wellstring is just so strong.
Yeah, honestly, when I see a Wellstring on the other team, I don't even bother trying to pop. Like, sometimes I'm worried about popping it even when it's in our own base, because you don't know if they're just going to tap it and explode it immediately. But speaking of exploding, 2 members of Solent Cardinals effectively exploded and down, allowing LUA All-Stars to possibly grab, but it seems as though they're playing it a little bit safe, kind of biding their time, perhaps going for a sneaky right check. And the fact that neither of these teams are running VAC, which we see way more often in competitive play, makes this a way more precarious situation.
We see that Kraken with Ghostly able to take out Wither, but it's still not going to really give LUA the space they need to get back in the mid there. That hammer was huge there, able to get another pick. Ghostly goes down to the Rainmaker barrier. That Wellstring is just popping it instantly.
Yes, and Star Yoshi gets Flow Aura for it, moving ahead of their team and positioning the to get this Rainmaker going, but Azuka is going to take them out, but not Spookster, who is the person they really needed to get rid of. But this wipeout and the fact that they still have presence here is going to give them another chance to possibly get that dunk. But the thing about Rainmaker Undertow is that final check is right by the enemy respawn, and getting that final dunk is not going to be easy.
And yeah, we saw Wither trying to save that Reef Slider for the right moment, but it wasn't able to take out that game. But Duality with the Rainmaker, able to shove it back into mid, still keeping the game alive for LUA. But they still have to get through that checkpoint, and they're going to have to look for a KO if they want to take this game.
Practically, they might get lucky, bring it down to something that's not a KO, but that's lower than 4, but they only have a minute 20 to do it. They finally pick back up again. They still haven't gotten their first checkpoint. Wither is camping that right side in case they decide to do something cheeky, but I think LUA All-Stars being a little bit more traditional, going that second way, and that allows Wither to try and dive the Rainmaker and ultimately gives them a wipeout right on the top of the.
And with just 1 minute remaining, Cardinals looking super strong here. They're able to trade out when necessary. LUA, they have to stop trading. They only have maybe 2 pushes left in them. Maybe 1 counting this checkpoint. Ghostly trying to look for an opening, but it's not going to work here. The members of LUA All-Stars on the back end of how much aggression Cardinals has there. Wither looking to make another move. It's trying to shark out the members of LUA. Excuse me.
Well, I think that it just feels like they're playing careful. 2 of their members are down. Wither was able to make a lot of effective flanks this time around, and even worse, you have their heavy edit conceding ground when they need the pop, right? And even worse, they're up against a Wellstring. They're not going to get that pop. So they do end up popping it themselves. They play a little bit of keep away and very neatly end that game and the set to get this first win. First point, rather, in the set. No, second. Whoa, I'm a mess. Second, this is Rainmaker.
We both are a little tired.
It's summer.
It's like, listen, 2 p.m. is early for us. That's early.
Meanwhile, in UK, where our players are, it's firmly in
a little
the
bit
evening.
later. I believe it is 9 p.m. over there right now. The two American commentators are commentating the European League. So it's a lot earlier for us, as you can see with the sun trying to beam through my window.
Yeah.
But messing up my perfect lighting.
Right. Behind me isn't even the sun. It's just plant growth lights that mimic the sun. But you can see here, this is when Solent Cardinals were able to get that dunk, which was especially huge because LUA All-Stars really started early and almost got a check of their own, but were denied that, and that's when they got down to 4, and despite getting the wipeout, just didn't have the presence or the firepower needed to get the full knockout. But I feel like this is much like the last set we saw where Solent Cardinals, another strong team in the league. Obviously, all these teams are in Top Cut, but this is certainly a team I've seen and that I've heard of. And I think they're showing exactly why. You can take a look at the players they have, reminding you, I think NSE this time around is allowing for alumni as well. I'm sure you immediately see Yoshell and you're like, I know that name.
That one I know. That one I do know. But I mean, what a performance we've seen so far. And I do want to say, a lot different from the set we previously saw. We've seen a lot more fights happen. We've seen a lot more trades happening on the board here. Going in. Hey, Scorch! It finally happened. We got Scorch.
Yeah, Scorch Clams. I think Scorch Clams plays a little bit differently than other Clams games because of how small mid is and how far your respawn point is from your own basket. If you have a push, you have a really nice push, but your entire team wipes, Like, expect the opposite team just knocking at your front door, already scoring on your basket by the time you respawn in, because the counter push opportunity is really violent almost. But, you know, one fun fact about me, Matt, my alma mater also has the Cardinals as their mascot. So, you know, I'm pleased to see the strong showing so far out of Solent Cardinals, but LUA All-Star certainly not out of it, especially with, we saw that first push on Rainmaker. Really strong stuff.
I mean, personally, my school's mascot's a panther. And I completely forgot I wanted to start a league there. I was gonna make a team. I was gonna coach them. I was gonna do everything. Actually, I was gonna play, but I can't find people to play. So I mean, props to some of these teams for finding players committed to the game. It's something you don't see every day. But moving in here, Clamblitz Scorch. Cardinals are up 2-0 against LUA, so let's see if they can close out the set, or will LUA pick it up and keep this set running.
Yep, no changes comp-wise. These teams just confident in what they're running, hopefully comfortable in what they're running. No, Star Yoshi, I didn't notice, has changed over to Gold Knot. So I think that's a little bit more mobile. It's faster, and I think, like I mentioned, with the potentials of counter pushes, having that speed and the ability to splash down and clear people is going to be huge. But not even done with my sentence. Not even 30 seconds, Matt, and we are flying past the 60-point mark. Soylent Cardinals want to just end this and end it quickly.
Cosme's behind, trying to just get Spookster out of there, but they notice Spookster. Cosme able to clean it up, but 30. Wait, whoa, never mind, Wither. Jump in and get the pick, but no, the basket went up just in time. They're saving LUA from major damage, but already a lot of damage has been dealt. They're down to 32 for Cardinals. This is going to be very hard for LUA to come back from.
That was crazy, Matt. We saw a 1v3, what, with Dooley? No. Dooley's perhaps up against Dynamo, and we're like, oh, that guy's a goner. But with the jump-ins, they were able to survive and then turn the tables and 3v1 that guy. So that was crazy. But back into the game, Boopster having a little bit of help from their friends to clear up their own basket, and LUA All-Stars seems like they've started to move into mid, but have been met decisively with a lot of power coming out of
going in here, I mean, it's been very dominant for Cardinals, but it looks like LUA might have a chance to move in here. We see multiple down on the side of Cardinals, Dynamo jumping out there, but it looks like LUA now has control, a little bit more control at least, trying to get into mid here. Ghostly up against that Dooley's able to take them out there. LUA looking to take as much space as possible, build their economy, and make a push.
Yes, and it looks like they're on their way, but they've looked like they were on their way in the past, and it didn't work out so well for them. So you see right at the last second, Halo going down on that shot. Oh, and the range blaster as well. No one going to be in range to save those. The push is effectively dead. Cosme being perhaps where they should not be, trying to get out of the situation, and the trade out of it, surprisingly there. So Spookster positioning themselves being the only person alive on their team, but having strikes at the ready. We saw the last time one person was alive on their team, and it didn't end out well for LUA All-Stars.
I do want to point out the Dynamo had it coming because the Dynamo tried to roll over Cosme. So they had it coming. Cosme going at them again. Another chain. But with 2 minutes remaining, 2 down on the side of LUA All-Stars, and it's 2-0. All the 2s across the board. Cardinals still looking strong. They're looking to make another push happen.
Yeah, and they open the basket, which every second they're scoring means that LUA All-Stars is not. But of course, there's always the looming threat of a counter push. You have this jump in, which also goes down. Wither is the only person alive, trying to take everyone's attention and stop that counter push from happening. Because you see, LUA All-Stars, they noticed them behind and went to go take care of them. But I think they understood the ploy. They tried to make a run for it, but with only 2 of them, they go down to the 3. And once again, Solent Card been able to take control of the situation and score on the basket.
And another push with another Super Clam, down to 11. With just over 1 minute remaining, it's looking super strong for Cardinals. LUA has not gotten a chance to really score at all here. They had one that was denied by Spookster, but really now all Cardinals has to do is hold them back here. They don't even have to push if they don't want to, but it looks like they are trying to.
Yes, but importantly, they can open that basket whenever they want due to that power clam. And look at that dun clan economy. 2 entire power clams. Granted, one of them goes down, but every single member of Solent Cardinals has quite a few clams to their name. 15 total, as a matter of fact. So that splashdown is ready, meaning no one can really push Star Yoshi, except for perhaps this invulnerable Kraken. And I think that 15 seconds are left. They're just biding their time, especially because it looks like no, they do have a power clam, but it's going to be tough to score that and overturn that 11.
I haven't grabbed that clam yet, and as I say that, Ghostly grabs it. 1 down on the side of Cardinals. LUA is looking for a moment in. Star Yoshi trying to shut them out with the super jump and with a surprise flank. And using that pity clam, finally, Cardinals closes off the overtime and takes game number 3. Game 4.
You're like, do we count turf? I think game 3. That's a 3-0 set here. The intricacies of what happened in that last moment. I feel like I wish we had like a Shiny Hunter play-by-play. The way like what happened is you have the last person picking up the pity on LUA All-Stars, and they're wanting to move forward, but Wither is behind them trying to flank. Here I think you can see this point where it became a 3v1 and we thought the gal would get the pick on Dynamo, but it didn't quite happen. And I think Cosme living for forever. Despite and then going down in a trade.
Over. The disrespect.
Oh my gosh. And I think, no, because this wasn't down at 13, but really, this is when they ultimately got that down to 11 push that put them in that really fantastic position. I think that their level of aggression was good, but now we get to the point where overtime happens. Wither is behind and there's a jump in as well. So the last person there tries to ignore Wither and move forward, but they're caught in between Wither and a splashdown. So they just go down, and the person who jumped in had a clam on them, and they just score it and end the game just like that. So they simultaneously get punished for just not taking care of Wither, even though most people would say in that situation, Dapple Dualies are behind you, you have to push, you should ignore that guy. But I mean, you ignore them and you ignore them right into a splashdown. So kind of a lose-lose situation for the way all.
With that, Stolen Cardinals taking that 3-0 against LUA All-Stars, moving on in the bracket. But don't go away yet. We have one more set we will be showing you guys shortly. So don't go. We'll be back. Just give us a little bit.
All right, I hope you enjoyed your break. We are back in lower semi-finals. Welcome back to the NSE UK University League. I'm Sasu here with Matt, and you know them, you love them, you saw them on beta, but they are alpha now. It's Koosplatter versus staying on beta. LUA All-Stars, the two teams that we put into this position. So we saw them both really struggle up against some pretty all-star teams in Anarchist and so on. But now it's their time to prove themselves up against each other.
I mean, now it gets pretty interesting. I mean, we have two teams that 3-0'd both of their sets, and now the two losing teams are up against each other. So the question is there another 3-0 or is there a game 5? We may never know. But I mean, we saw how both of these teams.
We may never know. We will know after this.
We will. Starting off, we have our Turf War portion. Starting off, Split Zones, Marlin, and actually LUA is Alpha.
Keeping us on our toes, if anything. But these teams will have to stay on their toes moving into this first game of Turf War. This is a set for their lives. They want to stay in it, so they're really going to have to start strong, take the set, and I feel like everything kind of goes from there. So looking at both of these teams, Cosme on the Forge. I'm always going to call out a Forge when I see it. And Koosplatter still on the double dually, but with the Ninja Squid claws for their cooler user.
And yeah, I mean, we see that double dually comp that we saw in set 1 from Koosplatter. It's the same thing. Cosby already looking at just destroying their base. We saw how great Cosby was performing in set 2, and it looks like they are keeping it up even in the loser section. They're in their base. Koosplatter is already down into danger, and they're looking for a chance to get into mid.
Yes, MP really putting in that work and then popping the crab, so Ghostly really needs a good pick on there, but I think ultimately it's Cosme who does end up cleaning that up. Halo getting a pick, putting down the beacon and activating Flow Aura, all the while that puts KU or Koosplatter in this danger position. You see that there's still some turquoise on their plat and some chumps to boot, so they're certainly in a difficult position halfway through this game.
We still see Kusweater struggling to get back into mid. They gotta play fast. They have the comp to do so. But LUA, they've been able to keep it up this entire point. The Crab unable to do too much here because the strikes moved it, and they're gonna get picked off here. Still in danger. LUA looking incredibly strong. They have control over mid. They're looking to make an effort into their base, but Kusweater might have a response, or they're able to get one off of the board there. But we do see the Viper going down.
Yes, and Cosme really holding their space. Now, Cosme, I think last time we saw them, was actually on 52 gal, and they've switched over to the Splattershot Pro, the Forge, and they are playing as though they're still on that gal. Gal is a kill machine, Forge not so much, but they are just dogging everyone. You see they're still on the enemy plat. They are going up against that Viper, and they come out on top with 39 seconds to go, Matt.
And I mean, just pushing in here with 30 seconds. Again, as you said, 30 seconds remaining. LUA has been incredibly strong. They have control over the majority of this game here. And I mean, it's hard to come back from this, especially with the players dropping left and right. It's going to be hard. They're trying to break through. The Empire Dualies are in. There goes the hammer. They're looking to get as much turf as possible on the field. They're able to get multiple down. Ghosty goes down there. But wait, they can get control over mid here.
Yes, in these last few seconds, but 2 members are down, and even worse, a Booyah Bomb was set out, and Cosme with that flow aura. You know, we talk about how, I don't know, flow aura just kind of makes you faster, gives you the cooler benefits, and people love that, but also people remember that flow aura paints for you as well. So if someone gets into that flow aura in the last few seconds and starts moving forward, that is even worse for the opposing team. And you see very, very strongly LUA All-Stars coming out on top there.
Going in here, I mean, we saw how well, even I want to point out in the previous set, how strong both of these teams were, but really LUA. We've seen so, what's the right word? Such domination we've seen, even with the losers. Even though we're on the losing side here, LUA is still keeping up all of their pressure. They're able to keep it up. They want to win these games. They want to at least win this next set, and they'll be in a much better position. So winning this first turf war is going to be incredibly important for them. But Kusweater, a bit on the wire here. They gotta, if they really, even if they do lose this next turf war, they gotta look at taking the next 3 games here. They're not out just yet. They're still fighting for their spot, and if they can come back and take LUA out, they're going to be in a very good position indeed. So both of these teams are really fighting for this next position.
Yes, the counter pick comes in. It is Humpback Pump Track. Now, Kusweater runs that double dualies, so I think they want to use, take advantage of the kind of like, I think the space is very tricky. It's very hilly, right? And sometimes it can be difficult to get a clean splat on people, and running double dualies. You can just kind of dodge roll circles around people, make it easier for them to miss, especially fighting in mid. So that might do well for them. But yeah, LUA All-Stars, of course, they are strong too. So I doubt they're not just lock loaded and ready, because last time we saw this counter pick didn't end well for the team that counter it.
Yeah, so it's gonna be pretty close here. I mean, they're going in with Humpback. We saw Humpback being chosen last time, so maybe it's just something they're a little bit more comfortable on. And even with the weapons, they might just want to play that because they like the map in general. So it's going to be interesting to see if Kusweater can come back from this, or will LUA stay strong and take the turf war set.
Yes, both of these teams are still vying for the first point in this set, but they have to get through 2 turf war wins to do it. Right off the top, once again, I think Kusweater focusing a little bit more on their zone. Maybe not as neat as some other teams would have liked, but it certainly gets some of the work out of the way so they do not have to worry about it later.
And I mean, even look at this, even mid's not covered, and LUA is moving on those sides of their Cosme. On that paintbrush now, they've just been switching weapons left and right, but it's been working incredibly well for them. Coup Splatter, it looks like they're down in mid, trying to take control. It looks like they actually might have it here, but Ghostly able to take out those Dapples just in time before any other damage was dealt here. And it's honestly been a little bit more even.
I wonder if part of that is because two players have decided to switch over to blasters in turf.
Yeah.
I find that most of the time people run blasters when they're just kind of one tricks, so they have to go with it. But you see 3 members going down for LUA All-Stars. I think this finally allows Coup Splatter a little bit of breathing room. The last member does get out of there with XK, not able to really find them. But it feels like despite getting those 3 members down, I'm not seeing a proportionate amount of pink. As a matter of fact, Duality with this flank is trying to paint over Coup Splatter's section there, so maybe not really much came of it, Matt.
And now back into danger. They have control over mid here. All they need to do is keep this paint up strong. They have the members of Coup Splatter stuck in their base. Another 2 go down there. We see the Dapples trying to make a movement. They're able to take out the Octoshop with the Rapid, trying to finish him off. Cosme there to help out, making sure this Dapples doesn't get too much value. The Luna Blaster gets taken out there. But this Dapples has been trying everything they can to give their teammates an opening.
Yes, and you see this 1v1 ending there in mid, and now the teams are paying more attention to their flanks. Halo does win that and tries to take the last member for themselves. The splashdown comes out and they go down in the air. That is the perfect thing you want to see. And right now, it's looking that LUA All-Stars is in a really good position. They're noticing those flanks. You see they get point censored. So Cosme, who maybe can't take care of it themselves, lets the rest of the team know that a flank is happening and they may have to act accordingly. MP is that member, gets rid of that beacon so no one can jump in if they do happen to go down at the end. And speaking of which, it's gonna be those end parries. So Halo goes down behind and they collapse upon them with those with flanks. And I think that we're seeing LUA come out on top here at the end, taking the whole turf war set, Matt.
With 63% on the board, LUA advances 2-0 in the turf war set, so they get the first point going in to the main set, putting Coup Splatter on a bit of a giving them a really hard time here. And going in for these next games, they're ready. They're ready to come back. They're ready to take them. In LUA, they're not gonna let it happen easily. We've seen how well they've been on the aggression. If we just look back here, we saw even with the weapon changes, how fast LUA was able to act and take control over the map was just incredible.
Yes, and taking a look here, you see whether they're sending out their crab, Halo, just getting that pick and jumping back into it. We just saw an incredible amount of skill really being exemplified by LUA All-Stars. Cosme especially, not one to be trifled with. Having this flow aura and then looking like they were almost done. They didn't even have their high ground. They dropped there and still got the pick. 2 members did end up going down from LUA, but they still clutched the win. Just really, really good control and good teamwork giving them the wins here.
And going in here, I mean, the pressure, it's really on Coup Splatter. I do want to point out, we saw the Dapples do that flank again towards the end and almost really turn the tides there. This Dapple doing whatever they can to move in for their team, but just the amount of power LUA has, and especially recognizing these flanks, is one of the main reasons why they've been winning. They've been recognizing the threats and they've been able to take care of them accordingly. And with that, they were able to keep complete control, and they were able to keep the turf on the map here, taking the turf war set. We're going to be starting off on Zones Robo.
Robo Ramen, to me, is a really strong Zones map. Aside from I mean, there are things that are legal that maybe I don't super care for, but I think there are really good flanks. There's good verticality. There's a lot of places for you to be that isn't necessarily just in zone. It's critical for you to protect your elbows, wear long sleeves if you will, and make sure that the other team can't just like push up to that section and keep you in lockout where you they can play keep away to get you away from the zone. Now, we're moving into more competitive modes, which means that you can't necessarily get away with just running whatever, depending, because sometimes you do see funky things and it works out for them all the same. So, gonna be interested to see, especially because we saw changes to blasters and some funky choices. What happens going into this zone game?
I do want to point out, taking a quick look at the bracket, these two teams did meet each other previously. They made each other just last week in round 1, with LUA All-Stars winning game 5, winning a 3-2 set over them. So we've seen these two teams face off against each other before, and it was incredibly close. So Coosplatter is not giving up just yet, and LUA All-Stars, they want to take him out as quick as possible.
I bet, but also the mental going into a set against a team that has beaten you before, even if it's just barely. It may feel like, yeah, but it was a buzzer beater, it was so close, X, Y, and Z. But you do feel the aura, or the, like, you know, kind of the flinching of going up against a team who has an entire set on you already. So, Coosplatter, they lost the mini turf war set 2-0. So now, of course, that just means that they're 1-0 in the set, but they know that they have a lot of ground to make up to overturn that. And seeing as though they don't have a game on the board yet, that it's easy for something like that to psych you out.
And going in here we go. Game number 2, Zones, Robo. Can LUA keep up the amount of pressure they have, or will Coosplatter come back?
We will have to see, but no major changes with the exception of XK being on the 96, the one with Vac here in zones. Not a bad pick, especially Vac can be in the elbow when you have a lot of people trying to take it back from you, activating that, getting rid of all their offensive power, and then capping over zone can really do wonders. But you have to have the members up appropriate so that it can be of use. And as you can see, we have a flank here that is successful. They do get one person out, but now that they have been spotted, well, no, they go down eventually, but really good job getting all that attention, I'd argue.
And LUA has been super quick at capping the zone here. Coosplatter almost had complete control, but LUA came back extremely fast here in this first minute, already down into the 30s. These duelies are looking for an opening, but they get taken out there. 2 down on the side of Coosplatter. It is looking strong for LUA. They have complete control. They need to cap this zone.
Yes, because look, we are in the single digits. That splashdown would have been better placed in zone, but unfortunate there. A 100-0 run here for LUA All-Stars, putting them in no time at all at set point.
And it comes down to this. Will LUA knock them out, or will Coosplatter come back, win game 3, and keep their heads still above the water? It's up to Coosplatter to pick the perfect map for Rainmaker, something they know how to play, something they're comfortable with, and completely knock LUA out of the water.
Yes, because they have to reverse this. They have no choice but to have a come from behind win. So at this point, I think, you know, even worse, because sometimes you have a full game and you go back to the drawing board and you say, hey, here was the issue. We just, you know, our comms fell apart, or it felt like their comp was overwhelming. But when you have a team essentially 100-0 run in zones, and you're not able to actually get your hands on those zones, it's hard to really look at that and figure out what it is that needs to be addressed. And even worse so, a lot of teams aren't used to playing that much turf. Turf isn't a competitive mode in a lot of other circumstances. So sometimes you say, we lose turf, it is what it is, kind of a scripted loss. But this is a competitive mode and 1-0, so not much for them to go off of.
Going in here, they're really thinking about it. I mean, it comes down to this. Kusletter has one chance to bring it back, and it starts now. If they can win the next 3 games, they can knock LUA out. At LUA, they've already technically won 3 games against Kusletter. They are looking incredibly strong. They're able to push 100-0 the last game, and they are ready to do the same thing on Rainmaker again. They're gonna stay as strong as possible here, but the decision is up to Kusletter. Can they respond, and can they do the same to LUA and knock them out? And it's gonna really start with this counter pick.
Yes. Maybe this will be the time we see him. Yeah, it is legal. Scorch Gorge, Undertow Spillway, Museum, Delfino, Manta Maria, Humpback Pump Track, Crab Leg, Capital. Perhaps a museum, but I wouldn't be too mad at another Undertow. I think, remember last time I was like, yes, I love watching Undertow, and we saw, was it Solent Cardinals? Like, or perhaps Anarchist run it to like 4 and then try to like repick, and there was 1 person left, but everyone jumped in. It's always super hype on Undertow's way. So I wouldn't be mad at that, but we'll see with both of these teams. Not both of these teams, what KU Splatter specifically thinks is the way to go to keep them alive.
I mean, they're thinking long and hard about this counter pick. I mean, this is
and
it.
They have to.
Yeah, I mean, this is it. I mean, you gotta think like what will work, and looks like we're gonna be going back to Crab Leg. We saw this before. We saw them run this before. So with the double dually lineup, I think this works for them.
Yeah, but last time we saw them counterpick this, it did not work. They weren't able to really get a run in. I think there were some choices made where I think some of their players want to jump the Rainmaker off when it may be more advantageous to let it reset. And I think antsiness like that, sometimes those split-second decisions that end up not serving you can be the difference between a team having a 60 and a run down to 13, because the points get so dense between the check and the final check, right? So Kusplatter, clearly they really love this place. They keep picking it, but up against such a strong force like LUA All-Stars, they're really going to have to make sure that they're locked in for
in here. I mean, even down to the weapon screen, they gotta pick something they know how to play. They gotta pick something that they're comfortable with, they know how to use. And I mean, LUA, they've done a lot different. They pulled out a lot of different weapons, but it comes down to these final moments, this final game for Kusplatter. One more chance to bring it back. They want to do exactly that.
Absolutely. So I think on that weapon select screen, seeing as though we've seen some changes, I think there was the 96 with VAC that didn't really come into play that entire game. I'm not even sure if they were able to get a VAC, or perhaps it got canceled or something like that. It was just really dominant from so they get a lot of choices to use their specials, but taking that into account, and the fact that they're like, we for sure want to go Crab Leg Capital, I wonder if we do see that Luna Blaster come back, or if they say, hey, it's Crab Leg, someone might have to, instead of were they running a heavy edit perhaps? Instead of what they've been running, they might need a charger. So no changes, mistake from me with who had that heavy edit, but instead You take this, Matt.
The triple dualies coming out here. We have Splat Dualies, we have Vampire Dualies, and we have the Pink Dapple Dualies. Again, with that double cooler, we've seen Q-Splatter play with double cooler before, and they're doing exactly that for this one. And immediately we see MP able to take out 2 of them. Q-Splatter immediately up, MP able to get 3, and is able to finish off the 4th, and all of a sudden Q-Splatter is heading in for that first checkpoint.
That is a quad. Make that a quint because they got a pick on that gal. Now they're going for the flank. Interestingly, choosing to have a crab a little bit out of range of players that they want to go for. As a matter of fact, I think they grouped up to try and take out the crab on the other side, but a heavy edit. I get player myself. Gonna be able to pop that shield with ease. So they do get check immediately, but no further points after that.
But, I mean, in the first minute already, they pushed back that checkpoint. Cosby able to get the pick off of MP with that splashdown coming in there. They're just shoving this Rainmaker, and it's down by the checkpoint again. Q-Splatter has another chance to push this Rainmaker past them, but LUA is not going to let them have it easily.
No, they are the ones who get the pop. They very diligently get rid of XK to make sure that they can run. They take that top right and they are cruising their way to the check, but 2 members being up are going to just mow down that holder. And I think they might be able to pop and dunk it uncontested and live to speed to tell the tale as well. 3 of the dualies are down. Q-Splatter trying to make sure that they keep the lead and don't allow any of LUA All-Star to take that. That's them jumping it off.
Down to a 1-point lead. Both teams now have crossed that checkpoint, and it's looking promising. I mean, what is happening? We just saw between the 2 dualies just going back and forth with a Rainmaker, but maybe it was just a distraction because Q-Splatter gets wiped out there and LUA is moving. They take the lead and they're looking to get tons of points onto the board.
Now, this is a lot of power, and this is when it starts becoming problematic running double cooler. They have all of these people here, but they don't necessarily have the offensive pressure to immediately take care of them. However, N parries have that splashdown live. You have Cosme back on the gal, trying to get those picks, but go down themselves, and now this is the worst thing about Rainmaker Crab Leg. It is both a nightmare to push and to defend there. As you see, the Rainmaker has been stalled in that exact spot and will likely stay there for a while now.
I mean, look at this. They're just holding it back there, but the bombs take it out. They can't jump it off just yet. LUA is keeping the Rainmaker stuck there. Cosby looking to get a pick off the board. They are unable to do so, but they pop the Rainmaker. They're pushing it even further. Down to 5, and they're 3 down, and Q-Splatter is finally able to get the members of LUA out of their base, and they're able to jump it off the map here. Down into mid, but an incredible push from LUA, pushing it all the way down to 5, and Q-Splatter has a minute and a half to take it back.
Yeah, perhaps not so consequential, seeing as though they're running that double cooler duality under the pressure of being the last person up on their team secures that pick, but that means that XK can kind of walk on that right for free and tries to run it instead of waiting for that splat bomb to go off, and nobody is on that top right to hold on to that space. So Cosme gonna drop here, see what they can get on that gal, and with the 1 minute notification, both of these teams, they keep jumping it off, Matt, and that's especially funny. It's a long way down here, like Cap.
Yeah, I'm scared of heights. I wouldn't want to go down there. Jeez. But I mean, it's working out for them because the more they reset the Rainmaker, the harder it is for these teams to be able to push. Halo, both Halo and Cosby collapsing on MP, able to get that pick off in the final 30 seconds. But look, Cosby behind them, trying to get a pick there, but no. Benny is able to spot it just in time here, but Q-Splatter has one more chance, one more push to bring it back.
Yes, and that is especially harrowing, seeing as though the push is so difficult on Crab Leg Capital. We saw that even LUA All-Stars had a difficulty with getting even down to 5. Ghostly accidentally, I think, picks up that Rainmaker for them, so that opens things up for Coosplatter to open that up, but Cosby is behind, gets a pick there. All they have to do is get down that Rainmaker, and the splashdown doesn't come out fast enough, despite Coosplatter starting so strong. It is going to be LUA All-Stars that ends it.
And with a clean 3-0 over Coosplatter, that's going to put them ahead in the bracket. I believe they are heading into losers finals now because of that, if I'm not mistaken. But incredible setting on the way. But I mean, Coosplatter, especially in the beginning of the game, I mean, they were so quick to move. We saw a 5K happen. MP was just behind them wreaking havoc, and Coosplatter was able to get the first initial point, first initial push, first points on the board. That was incredible.
Yeah, they just ran through it like nothing, especially all that dually gameplay really worked out for them. But I feel like they were kind of a victim of their own pick here in picking Crab Lake Capital, because it bears repeating. Crab Lake Capital, I think Falco Flyer is running a thing that's like, hey, what's the best? What's the worst of every mode? And I think I put Crab Lake Capital under like one of the worst to play, because you see on that top left, I'm sure LUA All-Stars didn't enjoy that. I'm sure KU Flatter didn't enjoy that. Pushing it is impossible. Defending it is impossible. We're just gonna have to pick it up and jump it. I feel like that was the beginning of that.
And still, I mean, they were fighting up until the end. Cosby with this fatal flank in the back, able to take out not only one but two of them and score that Rainmaker off, sealing the deal. But I mean, what a game! I think this was my favorite game out of them all. I mean, Coosplatter was able to, even though they were 0-2, have such a strong start in this third game, and they were still really fighting all the way through. And LUA was just strong the entire time, and they were able to keep it up through Turf War, through zones, and through Rainmaker, and they proceed with the 3-0.
Yeah, I agree. I think that this was, like, bar none, probably the best game of all the sets that we got to watch today. It was close. Even at the end there, I was thinking, oh, that's going to be such a hard run to take back the lead. But seeing a team go from getting a quint, 5 people down in a row, to losing that game really hurts me, especially because KU Splatter, last time they lost, but in a closer fashion, a 3-2. So GG's to both of these teams. Fantastic Splatoon we got to witness here, and yeah, that's gonna be it for our NSE broadcasting today. Matthew, Mega.
Who's that? I don't know who that is. I know what you're gonna ask. Where can the lovely people find me? You can find me anywhere at Matthew Mega, or on Twitter at Matthew Mega, LOL. And Sasu, where can they find you?
You can find me, of course, at Sasu in your pants. SASUIN. The letters are pants. Basically on any social media, including Twitch, which I'm trying to stream on. But thank you for joining us. Thank you to all of these players for really putting it out on the line, and I think we'll have the finals
next week.
So be sure to tune in to the NSE UK University Championships next week, and we will see you all later.